So what do you think would happen if you didn't eat anything the whole day and you only ate one meal? Well, that's what the OMAD diet is, one meal a day. And most people think if they follow it, they're going to lose weight, they're going to love their bodies, and they're going to get healthier. But unfortunately, that is not what happens. So today, I'm going to explain to you why I stopped the OMA diet, why you should stop it too. I'm going to tell you my story with fasting, and then I'm going to tell you what to do instead. So I'm making this video for you if you struggle with binge eating or emotional eating or overeating, anything in that category. If that's not you, then don't watch this. It may not help you. I remember I listened to a podcast with the Diary of a CEO, and they were talking about the benefits of fasting and how if you fast correctly and you do it for long enough, you're going to start to benefit from your belly. And as a fat emotional person, I tried to do it. I tried fasting because I wanted to benefit directly from my belly. And I can tell you, when I was in my peak of fasting, I was fasting for like 3 days a week, like full day fast 3 days a week, and then half day fast the rest of the days. I went from 57 kgs to 54 kgs in just about 1 week. But unfortunately, a few months later, I was at 65 kgs. So I not only did I gain back the weight, I also gained even more weight and I got even more fatter. There are three reasons why I believe the one meal a day diet is very terrible for people who struggle with binge eating. The biggest reason is that it's a binge eating trap. And why do I say that? So look, as I'm editing the video, I just realized that I could have explained that point in a way better way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain it again, but using a whiteboard. This one right here. But unfortunately, I can't afford to have a whiteboard that hangs right here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put my phone down and then explain, showing you the board. Hopefully you're going to see what I mean. So let me do that. Okay, great. I'm going to use this to explain to you why you shouldn't stick to the OMAD one meal a day diet, and it's going to be amazing. So this right here, this represents how much food you need per day, right? But this is how much food you can eat in one meal. This right here is how much food you can eat in one meal. Do you see the difference right here? This is how much you are under eating, right? This difference that here represents how much you are under eating. And when you keep doing this, you keep doing this over and over again, you are constantly under eating. And as you may or may not know, constantly under eating leads to a relapse and you're going to start binge eating again. So let me explain what's going to happen. And so you're constantly under eating, right? And then let's say you relapse, right? A relapse is basically where you just fall back and you go back to your old ways. Instead of eating to here again, after you relapse, you're going to start eating like this, right? Like this. Do you see how much you are overeating now? Now, do you see now the difference right here? This is how much you are now overeating because you relapsed or because of the sticking to the one meal a day diet. It's going to cause you to overeat and it's going to cause you to relapse. So don't do it. Let me move on to another yet point why the one meal a day diet is not effective. See you there? So that's reason number one why I believe this diet is very toxic. Reason number two for why the OMAD diet is very toxic. So as I'm editing again, I constantly realized that I was not explaining this point as well. So let me explain to you this point again on why it justifies binge eating in a more engaging way. So back to our whiteboard, right? So we are back to the board. Let me rub this off. Let me rub this off to explain to you another reason why the OMAD diet is very not reliable for people who struggle with binge eating. So let me draw this, right? This is represents a small meal this represents a large meal, right? Let's make this meal a little bit larger. Right, this is a very large meal, as you can see. Now, if you are eating only one meal a day, and I ask you to choose between meal 1 and meal 2, which meal would you choose? Now, you're probably going to say meal 2, right? So, I mean, that's reasonable. You want to eat a large meal. So, you're going to choose meal 2. Let's remove meal 1 right here. So, let's say you are eating meal 2, right, which you choose, and you are eating, and you're eating. What's going to happen when you start to feel full, or at least you are here? You haven't finished your meal, but now you feel full. Well, now you're going to say, well, since I'm only eating one meal, it's okay for me to force myself to eat this. It's okay for me to force it because, well, I only have one meal. So I'm going to now start to eat. But the problem is you are justifying your binge eating because you only have one meal. So you binge this whole thing and you keep justifying it because you have one meal. But you could have just eaten this in the morning and then just eaten this remainder here. It's evening, and you would not have binge it if you're not eating only one meal a day. So that's another reason why the one meal a day diet doesn't work, because it justifies binge eating. Let's move on. Hopefully I won't have to refill the sections again. And that's why I believe this diet can be toxic, because it justifies binge eating since you only have one meal. That's reason number 2. Reason number 3 for why you cannot do the OMAD diet is, well, have you ever had anyone who has stuck to this diet for 3 years? I haven't. Now, 3 years is a long time, of course, but if you're going to do any diet, then it has to be a diet which you can stick to for a long time. It might not be 3 years, but you have to be able to stick to that diet for a very long time. The reason why many diets work online and you can see many of them is because people can actually stick to them for a very long time, enough for them to work. The 1 meal a day diet is very dangerous because you can't stick to it for a long time. Think about it. How long can you go eating one meal before your hormones start getting messed up and your whole body is just crumbling? You are now getting sick because you are not eating enough. How long do you think you can do that, all for the sake of losing weight? And you are just going to relapse anyways because if you constantly under eat, and you lose weight, there are high chances that you're going to gain back that weight. So that's why I believe this 1 meal a day diet is very toxic and you should not do it. Now, let me tell you what to do instead. I call it the favorite food diet. What a cool name, right? And I'm sure you can already guess what it's about. I'm back again. I realized that I could have explained this point in a better way again. So let me explain to you how the favorite foods diet works using again our whiteboard. Hopefully you are enjoying these illustrations. Comment below if you want me to keep doing them. Let's go. Great. So let me explain to you the favorite foods diet in a more engaging and fun way. Hopefully you learn something. So the favorite foods diet, we have got 4 rules, right? Why do I have rules? Because you might have heard that, oh, rules cause binge eating. No, wrong. Rules cause binge eating, not rules cause binge eating. Because rules give you boundaries, and the boundaries give you order, right? Order. So you want to have order in your diet. A diet that doesn't have rules and order, not that effective. Again, my handwriting is terrible, as you can see. So let's go over the 4 rules for the favorite foods diet. Rule number 1 is we are going to eat 3 times a day. So you're going to eat your smallest meal at breakfast, largest meal at lunch, and your second to largest meal at evening. 3, right? Those are 3 meals. Now, for me, at the moment, I found that these work very well, especially if you're someone who struggles with binge eating. because not only do they keep you full for most of the days, but you just enjoy it knowing that you're going to eat 3 times a day. Now you can mess around with this order and put the largest here and this one here, but I found that for me during lunch is when I like to eat, especially when I was going to university. I was always hungry during lunch, so I was like, let me just eat my largest meal during lunch. Okay, so you can do that. That is rule number 1. Let's move on to rule number 2 of the favorite food diet, which is you're going to stop eating when you are full. Exactly. Look, hold on, I'm going to continue in a moment. If you are watching that and going blessing, I struggle with binge eating, so I don't know how to stop eating when I'm full. Don't worry, it's a skill which you can learn, and following this diet is going to make that way easier. And look, you struggle with binge eating. My free content on YouTube here helps people like you. So if you watch the stuff that I teach and you implement it, you're going to be able to do this. Don't worry about it. It's a skill. You can learn it. My free content is going to help you. So don't run away from this diet just yet. Let's continue. If we want this diet to work without counting calories, we're going to need a way to ensure we don't overeat. And we do that by just stop eating when you are full. And don't overthink this. You can just put the food away and eat it later on your next meal, right? So yeah, don't worry about it. Just stop eating when you're full. That is rule number 2. Rule number 3 is for you when you are creating this diet for yourself, if you're going to pick your favorite real whole foods. I'm sorry to interrupt you again. If you are watching that and going, blessing, what on earth is a whole food? Or think of it like this: a whole food is basically a food that comes straight from the ground, from the tree, or from an animal. Think of it like a food that is close to its natural form, as close as possible. For example, an apple is a whole food, right? A banana is a whole food. Think of it like a type of food which your great grandmother would recognize. And yes, I'm filming behind a curtain close to a window because I want to get light to my face editing this video in a place that doesn't have that much light, so hopefully it's worth the effort. Let me move on to rule number 4 and then explain to you why that is. Rule number 4 for creating this diet is that you want to stay away from ultra processed junk. Why? I'm going to make a full video soon. I think by the time you're watching this video, I would have already made that video. But if not, I'm making an entire video soon where I just explain to you the reasoning behind why you should cut out junk food. Now, you may think that you need junk food in your diet for it to be sustainable, yes, some may say. But trust me, you don't need junk food. Even though you say that you have cut out junk food before and you still binge eat on whole foods, it doesn't matter. Let's try again. I'm going to make an entire video about this where I explain. So comment below your thoughts on why on junk food. Like tell me what you think, or like just tell me if you want to disagree with me on this diet. Just disagree below, and I will look at those objections while I'm making my upcoming video. So those are 4 rules. If we follow those rules, we're going to make progress. So just a quick recap of the rules for the favorite food diet. You eat 3 times a day. You stop eating when you are full. You pick, for creating this diet, you're going to pick your favorites. Your favorite, this is important, favorite whole foods. And you are going to cut out junk. This is version 1 of this favorite food diet for me at the moment. I'm going to keep updating it, but for now, if you follow this, you're going to make a ton of progress. Now, what if you're someone who's already addicted to binge eating, and you are one of those people who binge eats, especially at night, like you get home and then you start binge eat? If you binge at night, if that's you, then I made an entire video where I explain to you exactly how to not do that. I'm going to link it, I think, here. Like I'm going to put it right here. is completely free. Watch that and learn